Hello everybody, I'm Nora Burrows. We have a lot to chat about today. We're gonna end with a little quilt controversy that's going on currently, as well as I have an announcement. It's not a particularly exciting announcement, and it's not an announcement about a quilt-along, but I'll tell you about that at the end. In addition, we're gonna do a book review today. I'm gonna show you a work in progress, and we have a lot of other things to get to. Some Valentine's Day projects, lots of good stuff. Let's start with 3 Valentine's Day projects. I have videos on all 3 of these projects. 2 of them were from last year. 1 of them is newly published and it's a little strange. I made this fabric necklace for Valentine's Day, which as time goes by, I was really excited about it when I first made it. It was, you know, a little like difficult to figure out, but it's kind of strange. This would be a great project for a kid. The kid could either make it themselves, it's pretty easy, or you know, you could make it for a child or grandchild. But this is a really fun one. I'm gonna put a link to these 3 videos in the description. You can feel free to check out this necklace if you wanna make one yourself or just watch me struggle through the process because I did have to do a little tinkering. The other thing I am so excited about, I love this so much, this is a double-sided bunting. So I have this really pretty red and pink fabric on the front, and then on the back is, you know, just this little bit of lace. And this is so fun. I hang this on my fireplace for Valentine's Day, but because it's 2-sided, you can hang it in a doorway. So either way you're walking in, you have something pretty to look at. So I also have a video on this. I will link it in the description of how to make this. This was so much fun. I love this one. The last one was just a total fail. In terms of scrap quilting, I know a lot of you like those crumb quilting videos and scrap videos. And this video from last year, I know this, you're like laughing out loud at this ridiculous pillow, but there's a lot of scrap making in this video, as you can tell, because it's a scrappy heart pillow. But the pillow itself, the video is going so great. The whole process was going so great, putting the pieces into the heart, and the heart looked so amazing. It was really, you know, and then it took a dive at the end when this pillow, just no matter what I did or how I stuffed it, I didn't even finish it. See how it still has the hole where I stuffed all the stuff into it? I just kept putting more and more and more stuffing in there. But if you want a little chuckle or you want to know how to make a heart, not a pillow, because you wouldn't want to make this, but if you want to make a heart to like applique onto a piece of fabric, which I also do in that video, then check it out in the description. So those are the Valentine's Day projects. I wanted to show you something that I've been working on for a little while. So as you know, I typically do all of my sewing in my dining room for a whole variety of reasons. But more recently, I have been sewing in my bedroom. I have a little nook up there that when I finish this project, which I'll show you, I'll bring you up there and I'll show you the little nook and where I have been sewing more recently. The advantage of it is that when I'm in my dining room at the end of every single night, I have to like put everything away. I have to put the sewing machine away, all the project pieces away, all my little tools away, the cutting mat, all of it. In my bedroom, I have to semi-do the same, but I can leave the sewing machine out. I have a little desk in this little nook, and so I can leave the sewing machine on the desk, and I can leave, you know, my little scissors and binding clips and things like that on there. And that way I'm not taking up, you know, our whole living space with my craft projects. Anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is because this little sewing nook is surrounded by 3 windows, 3 sides of windows. It is so bright on days where the sun is out. It is unbearably bright. And it was actually giving me headaches on days that I was sewing because it was so bright. I have a self-diagnosed light sensitivity. I like always need to have sunglasses outside. The sun really bothers me, and so it was so much light. So I was like, I need to make, but the windows are really beautiful. They're kind of like these windows here where you don't want to cover them up. So I decided I would put little hooks kind of above the window, and that I would make curtains where I could just easily put the curtains on and then take them right back down. So when I'm sewing, I can have the curtains up if it's a sunny day, and if it's not, I'll just always have the curtains off. But what I'm excited about is I'm not just making any curtains. I'm making this cathedral window kind of quilt thing here. And what better place to have a cathedral window quilt than hanging in a window, right? So I think this will be really cool, and the sun will kind of shine through these lighter bits here but it's not quite finished yet. This is how big it's gonna be. I'm just making one for one window because it's really just one side that the sun comes blaring in, and I'm thinking that throughout the year that will probably change, you know, as the earth rotates around the sun and it's shining from different places. But I can put hooks on all 3 windows, and whichever window it's shining in on, that's where I can hang my little curtain. Typically with the stained glass windows, you only see a white kind of edge here and then a white middle, but I thought it looked more interesting to have the color contrast there. And look at these, you know, fabrics. Oh, it's upside down. Look at these fantastic fabrics. Some of these are, you know, like reused fabrics, and other ones are new. Like this moth is new from the quilting shop, so you can probably still get that fabric, but this is an older one. This is new from the quilting shop. This is like a year or 2 old. What else? Isn't that cool? That's new from the quilting shop, as is that. So you should be able to get all those fabrics. That's really fun. So I still need to do my edge triangles here, and then I'm just gonna take, you know, light colored fabric, sew it right sides together, flip it inside out, and put some little hangy things, and that will be my curtain. So that is super exciting. Next, I want to tell you about this book that I just got in the mail. Here it is. It's called Mountain Mist. Well, it's called Leisure Arts Presents Mountain Mist Quilt Favorites. And I was not familiar with the Mountain Mist batting. I don't think that they're around anymore, but evidently back in the day, I should be able to tell you when, let's see. Like the 30s, I think. Mountain Mist was a company that sold batting, and what they did is they wrapped their batting in paper, and on the inside of the paper was a quilt pattern. And you would, you know, want to go out and buy the batting to get your surprise pattern, because there was a bunch of different patterns. And they continued to release patterns throughout the year, which was super smart, because if you think about it, when you're buying batting, that is the last part of your sewing process on your quilt. And what are you ready to do next is make another quilt. So you have your pattern, you make your another quilt, and you need more batting, and the process continues. Anyway, why am I telling you this, and why do I like this book? In my last chat with you all, I told you about how I don't like to follow patterns, and it is hilarious because then I immediately saw this book and wanted to buy it, and it's all patterns. When I bought it, I thought it was more like a history about the Mountain Mist Company and their patterns and things like that, but it's not. It's a book full of patterns. There's a little bit of information kind of in the beginning here about different things, but it's a pattern book. But these patterns are unbelievable. I mean, I understand why they sold so much batting based on people just wanting their patterns, because they're really, really good. And I wanted to show you a couple in particular here. And this book is way out of print, but you can get it on like Abe Books, ABE Books, really cheap, as well as eBay, that kind of thing. But one of the blocks in particular, first of all, there are these bunnies. I mean, how adorable is that, right? And then it comes with a little applique pattern for the little bunnies. And then the one that I'm really excited about is a rooster. This is it up here. So I don't do foundation piecing, and I think this is foundation piecing, but I would love to try this block with regular quilting piecing, which sounds crazy. I mean, it would have to look much different than that. It wouldn't come out looking like that, but I think that is such a funky, cool looking rooster. Now the quilt they put it in, let's see if I can find it. It's right here. Here's the quilt they put it in. They have this hen, this stitched hen on every other block, and I'm not really crazy about that.
I'm gonna run to the drop off my Amazon return.
Okay. But the rooster's just the best. Now, the other one that I absolutely love, I also would do a little bit differently, but this is a very heavily floral book, and I kind of wanted to do something with all the different flowers, which would be cool. But the thing that here's a famous one here. This is one that people recognize a lot. This sunflower one, you may recognize that. Here's an actual quilt made out of it. That's like a pretty famous pattern. Here it is. How cool is this? Now this is a quilt that I would potentially just make this quilt, but all of these little things here, these are supposed to be buds, like flower buds, I think, but don't they look so much like little candles? Wouldn't this make an awesome Christmas quilt? I love, you know, these little like stems or candle pillars here. And then the diagonal they have going on is so smart with the lines of these half square triangles. I am just obsessed with this quilt. I love it so much. So I highly recommend this book, even though it's a pattern book. There's almost no writing besides things related to the patterns, no history about the patterns, none of it. But I still would highly recommend it. So it was occurring to me that we had talked about in the last chat video about our quilt philosophy and how our quilt philosophies are so different, and defining our quilt philosophies and how that can help our quilting process. And we're not going to talk more about that because I think I exhausted that last time. We will talk about it more in the future because I love that topic. But it occurred to me that one of my favorite YouTube creators has a totally different quilt philosophy than me. I do not miss an episode of this woman. She's fantastic. And she did have to grow on me a little bit. You may know her, I'm sure you follow her, Pat Sloan. She has kind of a quilting business. She, you know, she's a fabric creator. She has a ton of books, a gazillion books, and, you know, quilting is her business, and her YouTube videos really are part of her business. I started watching her and I was kind of like, and I couldn't stop. She has videos every single day, 6 days a week. She has videos 6 days a week. I watch them every single morning. I do not miss one of her videos. And at the end of her videos, she always says, I love you. And I used to try and turn off my, when I was watching it, I'd try and like turn off the video before she said that because it really bothered me, because I was like, you don't even know me, you don't love me. And as she grew on me and as I, you know, really started to appreciate her, I stopped, you know, fumbling with my phone to try and turn it off before she said I love you. I accept her love now. But she does every single like quilt along under the sun. And again, I mean, a lot of this is through her business. What are the patterns out right now? What are the free quilt alongs? She's doing them. And then in the process, she's updating you every morning about where she is in the process. And so you see her, you know, reporting on her blocks, you know, if it's a block of the month or a block of the week. And she gives lots of tips. She's just a kindred spirit. She's amazing. I love her. If you're not following her, go ahead and follow her if you want to. So Pat Sloan. That brings me to my 2 announcements and the quilt controversy going on right now. So my announcement number 1, I'm on Instagram. Can you believe it? I'm the last one to the game, but I'm there. So go find me on Instagram if you're on Instagram too. My Instagram name is Mostly Quilts by Nora. Nora, because Mostly Quilts was taken, which was really annoying. But Mostly Quilts by Nora on Instagram. I post a lot of things on there that I don't do videos on, so you'll see some fresh stuff. Announcement number 2, I am going to try and do one of these little chats every Monday. I don't know if I'll be successful, but I really like them. I think they're fun. I feel like there's so much to talk about in the quilt world. So let's do it every Monday. I'll be here. On to the quilt controversy. Now, this quilt controversy involves a woman that I have done a lot on this channel about. Miss Mary Fons, daughter of Mary Ann Fons of Fons and Porter. Some of my initial videos were called Hang a Quilt Outside Just Like Mary Fons or something like that. I had done a series of, I think, 4 videos about making this quilt to hang on my clothesline in the yard, because Mary Fons, during COVID, hung her quilts on her fire escape. You can go check out that video. I'll link to it in the description. But Mary Fons has a little bit of a controversy going on. She has been on a kick about quilt coats. Not any quilt coats, but quilt coats that are made from vintage or antique quilts. Evidently, this is, you know, quite the thing going on right now, where people take old quilts and they cut them up to make them into jackets, because the quilt patterns are super cool and the jackets look pretty awesome, but you really are, you know, destroying a piece of women's history when you're cutting up these quilts. And, you know, there's a limited resource. Once those quilts are gone, you know, we may be making a whole ton of quilts. The quilt community, we make a whole lot of quilts, but we don't make quilts anymore that were created back in the day. There's only so many of those. So, you know, justifiably, Mary Fonz has been a little bit upset about this because it's happening a lot, and they're not only making jackets, but they're making bags out of them and all kinds of things. So she released a video on her YouTube channel. I will link to her video here. And she, you know, kind of talks about this. And people were very opinionated about her video. People were very huffy about the whole thing. So you can read all the comments below her video, which is kind of part of the fun. And then also on Instagram, if you look on her Instagram page, is that what you call it? Instagram handle, Instagram page, I don't know. There's a whole lot of people talking on that as well. People are very upset. So that's the little quilt controversy. I would love to know what you think, because this is my question. Is all the people who are giving Mary Fonz a hard time about this and being very upset, I can't tell if they're quilters or if they're people who are the ones making these jackets, because I can't imagine. I mean, I would think that a quilter would understand, you know, I can't imagine making my quilt and then having somebody cut it up into a jacket. But maybe they are. Maybe these people are quilters. So if you're a quilter, I would love to know what you think about this. I would love to know, if you're a quilter, if you wouldn't mind having your quilt cut up 100 years from now. I'll see you next Monday, if not before. I'm going to continue to release videos, regular videos of making stuff, but you know, you'll have a guaranteed, I hope, video every Monday. See you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.